Hello and welcome to my presentation on piano character pieces of the 19th century. So generally, in the Romantic era, music became expansive, expressive, inventive, virtuosic, dramatic, and passionate. Piano character pieces emerged during the Romantic era. The word Romanticism was first used to describe new ideas in painting and literature towards the end of the 18th century, and musical compositions became increasingly expressive and inventive. This cultural movement was a revolt against aristocratic social and political norms of the Age of Enlightenment, and a reaction against the scientific rationalization of nature. So Romantic composers aimed for a powerful expression of emotion, often revealing their innermost thoughts and feelings. During the Romantic period, there was a shift from absolute music to program music. Absolute music can be understood as music for the sake of music, and these compositions were typically named after their forms or harmonic content, for example, string quartet in C minor. Program music with titles came in several forms. Short piano compositions were described as character pieces and took on names reflecting their emotional mood, state, or reference. And these piano pieces were often named after the composer's inspiration from literature, such as Schumann's Kreisleriana, or personal experiences, such as Schumann's scenes from childhood, and national or geographic images, like Chopin's polonaises and mazurkas. I've included here a quote by Robert Schumann, who is a very notable composer of piano character pieces. And the quote says, "To send light into the darkness of men's hearts, such is the duty of the artist." And I just love this quote because I feel like it perfectly embodies the purpose of character pieces, as well as the power that composers hold to influence the listener's emotions or to convey their own emotions through the use of certain musical techniques. Piano character pieces have a simple musical form with a lyrical content. Many character pieces are composed in ternary form, also known as ABA form. This form is typically used because it is especially suitable for depicting two contrasting moods. However, ternary form is not universal in the genre, and some modifications can be found to the ternary form as well. With this genre, many Romantic composers sought an individual compositional style. Some relied on expressive pianism and literature for these short piano pieces. Others harnessed nationalistic roots or wrote character pieces that reflected music of the past. A polonaise can also be a character piece if it is performed on a piano or with a small ensemble and is expressive of a mood or non-musical idea. What distinguishes character pieces is the specificity of the idea they invoke. Pictured on the right is a very brief piano character piece composed by Robert Schumann, entitled Estrella. The piece is an example of a character piece written in ABA form. A is a passionate melody, and B is a softer interlude. And the piece depicts Ernestine von Fricken, who was Schumann's then fiancée prior to his marriage with Clara Schumann. The first notable Romantic composer to utilize the character piece was Franz Schubert, pictured on the right. During his brief life, he composed two sets of impromptus, the Opus 90 and Opus 142. These pieces in ternary form emphasize lyrical melodies amid frequent subdivisions of beats. The impromptus suggest an expressive, improvisatory quality, although the music is clearly written down and adheres to tonality. In 1837, Robert Schumann published a cycle of piano character pieces that he called Carnival, named after the festive celebrations that occurred each year before the beginning of the Christian season of Lent. He sought to express a soul state created by the music, emotions, and moods that could be portrayed by sound. Clara Schumann published the collection Soirées Musicales in 1836. The meaning of the titles of her character pieces seem to be vague almost by design, and generally her compositions tell a narrative completely through music. Frédéric Chopin did not give descriptive titles to his character pieces either. He grouped them into several genres such as mazurkas and polonaises. Franz Liszt was influenced in many ways by Chopin and adopted his lyricism, melodic style, and tempo rubato. However, Liszt frequently drew on non-musical subjects for inspiration as well. Like Chopin, Brahms avoided using programmatic titles for his works. The titles of Brahms' short character pieces are often taken from traditional lyrical or dramatic genres such as ballad, rhapsody, and scherzo. The form of Brahms' character pieces is mostly simple ternary ABA form, and his style is introspective and lyrical. Frédéric Chopin's Fantasy Impromptu is one of the most well-known and performed character pieces. The structure of the piece is in ABA coda form. This piece is frequently compared to Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, in which the three movements were composed in the same keys. Chopin's piece can be seen as a reaction to Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata, in which he comments on Beethoven's musical genius. So the A section of this piece has a stormy, restless, and agitated feel as suggested by the tempo marking. The meter of this section is cut time or 2/2, which tends to have more energy than the meter for the B section, which is 4/4. There is polyrhythm in this section, meaning two different rhythms are played in each hand. The 16th notes in the right hand with left hand triplets suggest something chaotic. And then the section moves to a happier feel because it moves to the relative major, so C sharp minor to E major, and it's culminated in a descending chromatic scale. The left hand digs lower and lower in an octave melody, leading the listener to feel a sense of grimness, such as falling into a pit. But instead of crashing, Chopin doesn't let us hit the ground. The listener is then whisked off to a much sunnier B section. Just kidding. The B section has a tempo marking of largo, followed by the marking moderato cantabile, which can be understood as moderate in a singing style. The right-hand melody in this section does sound like singing, and the meter, as I said before, is standard 4/4 time, which gives a more flowing feeling than the A section. Now we will hear the end of the B section flowing into the final A section, and I want you to hear the end of the B section sort of slowly dissipates and then just harshly turns into the A section. The final A section has a tempo marking of presto, meaning it's faster and more agitated than the first A section. The beginning of the coda explodes with a fortissimo, and then it slowly melts away into a major key sound. And now here is the end of the piece, where the coda slowly melts away, and then the piece ends on a major chord, even though it's in a minor key, which is kind of strange, and it's called a tierce Picardy. So let's have a listen. So what is it about? To understand what exactly makes this a piano character piece. The piece can be characterized as a dream. In the A section, the dream is scary, like a nightmare in which you're running away from something ominous. The end of the A section feels like free falling through the sky, but instead of falling and crashing to your doom, you fall through some sort of loophole or portal into another world, one that's golden and serene in the B section. At the end of the B section, there's very little transition into the final A section. The dynamic marking is piano as the melody fades out. It's almost as if the B section was just a dream, which is now slowly evaporating. And now we are to return to the dark and harsh reality of the A section. The coda brings us to the piece's climax and then slowly melts away, ending on a major chord. The dream concludes with an ambiguous, fantasy-like ending in a quiet and mysterious way. There are no words in this piece to convey the story. The story is created in the listener's mind by the specific musical techniques used by the composer throughout the piece. Here are my resources, and thanks so much for watching. Good luck on your exam!